I FK up by saying weird things to my GF. 5 years ago, my girlfriend, F18, and I, M18, were at a turning point in our young relationship. At 18, you're on the edge of adulthood, but not quite there yet. And for us, that boundary blurred when her aunt gave us the opportunity of a lifetime. She asked if we'd house sit and watch her dogs while she went overseas for work, for a whole month, a month of total freedom, a month of no parents, no curfews, no one telling us what to do, just us, alone in a beautiful house with her aunt's adorable dogs. My girlfriend had her own car, and her aunt left us plenty of money for groceries, so we had everything we needed to live like grown-ups, like a dream. The first few days were pure bliss. We cooked dinners together, learning how to do vegetables and not burn chicken, mostly. We stayed up late watching bad horror movies, clutching each other on the couch and laughing at the ridiculous jump scares. We divided up chores, though honestly we mostly cleaned together because even vacuuming felt fun when we were side by side. Her mom checked in once or twice a week, but those were brief visits, just long enough to remind us we were still technically teenagers and hadn't suddenly become adults overnight. But to us, it didn't matter. We were living together. It was like a trial run of what life could be like if we didn't have parents breathing down our necks. Now, when you're 18, in love, and have the whole house to yourself, you tend to get a little adventurous. It wasn't just the thrill of freedom. It was the intimacy of being in this space, creating our own routines, and feeling so grown up. So naturally, showering together became part of the experience. It wasn't our first time being intimate, but there was a time that something about it felt different. There was a sense of closeness, vulnerability, and even playfulness. I remember the warm water cascading down, steam fogging up the glass, and the sound of her laughter echoing off the bathroom tiles. It was perfect. That morning, we were in the shower, washing each other's hair like something out of a cheesy romance movie. She stood behind me, her fingers gently massaging shampoo into my hair, and I closed my eyes, completely at ease. It was one of those rare, pure moments where everything feels right in the world, like nothing could go wrong. After rinsing the soap from my hair, I turned to face her, and she smiled at me with so much love that it made my chest ache. Then, with the gentlest touch, she reached out and brushed my cheek, her fingertips grazing my skin. "You've got an eyelash," she said softly, plucking it from my face. She held it up between us, the tiny lash balanced delicately on her fingertip. Her smile was so pure, so unguarded, and she said, "Make a wish," and that was the moment my brain decided to sabotage me. Instead of saying something romantic, sweet, or even remotely thoughtful, I blurted out, wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud." The words echoed in the small bathroom, bouncing off the tiles and sinking straight into the pit of my stomach. Her smile froze, her hand still outstretched, the eyelash dangling in the balance. "What?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Her face shifted from confusion to hurt, her brow furrowing as she stared at me. And that's when it hit me. I had completely ruined the moment. See, at the time, I was obsessed with the show Letterkenny. I'd binge-watch it every chance I got, quoting lines like they were scripture. That particular line, "Wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud," was one of my favorites. But here's the kicker. My girlfriend had only seen an episode or two. She didn't know the quote, didn't get the reference, and definitely didn't think it was funny in that moment. I panicked. "Wait, it's a quote from a show," I stammered, but her expression didn't change. She looked like she couldn't decide whether to be annoyed or just walk out of the bathroom right then and there. "Why would you say that to me?" she asked, her tone a mix of hurt and disbelief. I don't know. I'm sorry. It was dumb. I swear it's a joke." I was flailing, trying to explain myself, but the damage was done. The rest of the day was tense. She didn't say much, and I could tell she was still processing what had happened. I tried to fix things by showing her the clip from Letterkenny, hoping she'd find it funny in context, but her reaction was lukewarm at best. You ruined a moment, she said later that night, shaking her head as we sat on the couch. An actual romantic moment. And she wasn't wrong. It took a couple of days for things to go back to normal, and even then, she didn't let me off the hook. To this day, 5 years later, she still brings it up whenever I make a dumb joke at the wrong time. Thankfully, she's the forgiving type. That's probably the only reason she stuck with me through other slip-ups, like the time I casually called her nose a schnoz without realizing it was a term for a big nose. She still teases me about that, too. Fast forward to now. We're married, and I'd like to think I've gotten better at reading the room. But every time she mentions that eyelash moment, I cringe. It's become a running joke between us, a reminder of how young and clueless we were, and how much she's put up with over the years. Looking back, I realize that moment taught me something important about relationships. It's not about being perfect or saying the right thing every time, clearly. It's about having someone who loves you enough to laugh at your worst mistakes and still stick around. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When someone holds out an eyelash and asks you to make a wish, don't quote Letterkenny. For more interesting daily life stories, make sure to subscribe and comment your ideas. I will be posting more stories about a lot of aspects of life.